You're watching Toyota Sports Extra with Lina Washington.
Welcome to Toyota Sports Extra on ABC 10. I'm Lina Washington, and happy Father's Day to all you awesome dads out there. You're all cool, but this guy is the best. He's my hero, my dad, Robert Washington, a college football national champion with Notre Dame. He's my biggest supporter and soon to be a cancer survivor. He's the reason why I love sports, so thank you, Dad, for all that you do, and thank you, all you dads, for all that you do.
We are here at Jim Soker Field at Aggie Stadium on the campus of UC Davis, catching up with a couple collegiate athletes putting their programs on the map.
Hey, ABC 10, welcome to my crib. Just kidding. This is the new training facility for Kings Guard, which is the new NBA 2K team for the Sacramento Kings.
Well, right now, if you can hear me, I'm surprised because that's like half of Canada behind me cheering, filling the stands here at Warriors Ground as the Raptors take a 3-1 series lead, and we know how tough that hill is to climb. We've seen the Warriors come back from a 3-1 series deficit, but not in the finals. So right now, you see the yellow shirts. Those are Warriors fans taking in what could be the last game here at Oracle Arena in Oakland. But as you see Raptors fans, as they celebrate their first finals appearance in franchise history, they're feeling pretty good after a near wire-to-wire win in the second half, at least. It was all Raptors, but the energy was incredible in this building. I was like starstruck throughout the entire game because I met Shaq. Chris Bosh was here. Vince Carter, former Kings player, he recognized our cameras. He's coming back for another NBA season. He might be with the Kings next season. Who knows?
The JV football team is about to take the field for practice, but they will not be going full tilt. And that's because you can't see the hills behind us, which is a clear indication that the air quality is unhealthy for these athletes.
Sacramento's own Cameron Champ just wrapped up his first round at the LMA Classic. You can see him practicing here with Warriors guard Stephen Curry, who he was grouped with earlier today.
And with this show of support from former players, legends, Hall of Famers, I mean, that has to mean something.
You have all these players, and it was just like a homecoming.
And if you can think back to July 2017, Sacramento Republic FC hosted what they called a groundmaking here for a proposed new soccer stadium they were hoping to see built in 2020. I even have the hard hat to prove I was at the event, and the stadium was supposed to come after Sacramento earned an MLS bid.
Well, of course, Kevin, tons of fans, more than 19,000 in fact, packing Oracle Arena for one of the last Warriors games here in Oakland. But right now, their chants of "Let's Go Raptors" ringing out throughout the arena after this big win on the road. So both teams picking up wins on the road in just the third game of the series. And if it wasn't a series in Toronto earlier this week, then it certainly is now in Oakland as the Raptors steal a win on the road at Oracle Arena. You hear the chants behind me, but earlier in the day, it was all about the Warriors and a lot of fans enjoying this final year at Oracle Arena. Take a listen.
Popcorn here, fresh popcorn! Right now we're here. It's going to be a tough game tonight since we don't have Clay, but go Warriors, baby.
There you go.
All right, go Warriors.
We got injuries, but it doesn't matter. It's about the heart, and we got the heart. Draymond's got the heart. He's going to push us to the victory. I believe. I believe. We believe.
Hey, Ice Cold Air's here. Who's ready?
What's it like just being in this atmosphere, being at Oracle, knowing that this is one of the last times the Warriors will be here?
Yeah, I mean, it's nostalgic. It's a little sad, but we're looking forward to the new stadium.
Great experience. It's never been to a finals game before, and we're really looking forward to it.
What's the vibe in the city right now, or even last week leading up to this moment?
Well, it's insane. I think everybody is wearing a Raptors shirt, Raptors jersey. I mean, Jurassic Park is out of this world, and it's all over Toronto and all over Canada
You have to understand what the Raptors are to the country of Canada. We've got 33 million fans supporting one team, and that's it. It's like your only child. So it's so much pride across the country. It's amazing.
So two of those fans, just a couple of the many out here repping the Raptors loud and proud here after their big win. I also have to mention that as I was waiting to come out here for the live shot, Beyonce and Jay-Z walked by me. So a star-studded affair, great energy here. Of course, Game 4 coming to you on Friday.
Now, last week, I had the chance to meet Sacramento native and former Pacific Tiger Willie Tatum. The 51-year-old played baseball and basketball for the Tigers back in the 80s before being drafted by the Red Sox and playing 8 years in the minors, making it up to AAA. But for the last 3 years, Willie's been living with terminal cancer. And on Saturday, 27 years after earning his degree, he finally achieved his goal of walking in a ceremony in front of his family, a beautiful family of 8 with his wife Janine in the audience. And Willie Tatum walking in faith in spite of his diagnosis.
And, you know, I got a lot more living to do. You know, I'm believing in my healing. You know, everybody's praying for me and stuff. So, you know, I just continue to put one foot in front of the other and continue to move on.
Congratulations to Willie, an inspiration to us all. And it was the University of Pacific putting that all together for him. Now, again, I just want to shout out my mom right behind me. I'm an only child, so when you are an only child, you get all your mom's loving, and I'm thankful for mine. She is a cancer survivor, a 40-year educator who's about to retire. She basically taught me how to speak Spanish and has molded me into the wonderful young woman that I think I am. So happy Mother's Day to you, Mom, and all you mamas out there, all my friends who are moms, happy Mother's Day, and we'll see you right here next Sunday on Toyota Sports Extra.
4, 3, 2, 1. Listen up, y'all, cause this is it.
I never got to try out for the Kings Dancers or the Suns Dancers, which is my home team, but these girls are going to teach me a little bit of their routines, so maybe I'll at least kind of have the chops to come out on June 18th for auditions, right? Yeah. All right, let's do it.
No, it's not, but I still look good though.
What is your initial reaction seeing Lina?
I am impressed, actually. She's picking up really quickly, getting the choreography, getting the style down, so she's doing a great job, actually.
If I don't come back to ABC 10, y'all can find me on the Kings Dancers, okay? Okay.
You don't have to have been a dancer your entire life. As long as you have athletic ability and talent and are personable, we want to see you at auditions.
5, 6, 7, 8, and a 1, 2.
So there are potentially 32 open spots for dancers here in Northern California. Plus, it's a chance for them, if they need a little more development, they can start out in Stockton and then hopefully work their way up to the Sacramento Kings Dancers.
If you can envision yourself in uniform, then that confidence will exude out, you know, as you're performing, and the judges will see that, and what's meant to happen will happen. If it doesn't happen, try again.
You can join these girls June 18th, become a Kings dancer, try out at Sleep Train Arena, registration at 4 o'clock, and you can join these lovely ladies, and maybe even me, because I might need a part-time job, y'all.
She's so good. She is so good. You know that. And she did all that dancing and then delivered those lines.
Turning now to Sacramento Republic FC. Their season came to an end well over a month ago, but this week they made headlines for something you probably wouldn't expect. For the last several months, the team has been visiting Folsom State Prison to play pickup soccer games with inmates, some of whom have been behind bars for upwards of 10 years. And this week, for the first time, the team allowed cameras to follow them into the historic prison. Republic FC is using the beautiful game to rehabilitate the incarcerated, taking soccer from the pitch to the prison yard.
I feel like that sports has the ability to bring a lot of people together, to bridge gaps.
He's a goal scorer.
I really believe in bridging the gap between, you know, the institution and the community.
I've always been told that it's a scary place and this and that, so it's definitely a little different.
Sacramento Republic FC is doing something different to connect with the community.
Hey, everybody in here.
They're going behind bars, stepping inside one of the nation's most notorious prisons with an open mind. And with one goal.
Rehabilitation can come in a lot of different shapes, forms, and fashions. And this right here is rehabilitation.
Once a month, you can find Sacramento's pro soccer team on the yard at Folsom State Prison, playing a pickup soccer game with inmates, many of whom have been locked up and disconnected from the outside world for more than a decade.
I've been here at Folsom Prison for about 8 years and been currently incarcerated for 17 years.
But for about an hour, once a month, inmates like Lou feel free again. The club is using soccer as rehabilitation.
To play with these guys in here, it's like, for me, it takes away from everyday life that I have to go through in here. These are good guys that come in and they treat us, like I said, just like humans, and that's all we ask.
Even though this game is still being played inside the Folsom State Prison walls, it gives these inmates an opportunity to step outside their current situation.
Because I think it just comes from unconditional love, as in, regardless of what happened to put us in this position, that these guys, they see us as human beings, and it feels good to be amongst these men.
This was Cameron Iwasa's first time walking these infamous cell blocks. The Sacramento native broke records for the Republic this season. He's the son of law enforcement, but that didn't change his perception of the players he saw on this dirt field, surrounded by armed guards and barbed wire.
Obviously, growing up the son of a police officer, you get a little bit different viewpoint on a lot of things, but you know, I think on the surface, most of these guys are pretty good dudes that had an unfortunate incident or two, and that's really what it comes down to. And you know, so far everyone I've talked to has been awesome.
Hey, we score? Yes.
As the sun sets on the yard of California's second oldest prison, dozens of men in denim look on as the beautiful game is played, getting just a glimpse into what it's like being on the outside. Some of the men in this game will be locked up for life. The simple pleasures of a dirt pitch, an inflated ball, a handshake, and a hug mean the world to these inmates. And this pro soccer team is happy to bring it home to these inmates here at Folsom State Prison.
I mean, I think they've paid their dues for the most part. You know, the fact that they're in here is a tough situation, and so I think anytime they can get a chance to have a little fun and a little bit of freedom, I guess, you know, that's great for them.
Sacramento Republic, man, we're going to have a better season next year, man. We're going to go ahead and take it all away. Yeah!
Welcome back. As we've mentioned, it has been more than a month since Sacramento police shot and killed STEPHON Clark. We showed you how some in the community are trying to heal, and it is indeed a process. Now tonight, Lina Washington is further exploring why. She sat down with 3 men who explain what it's like to be black and brown in South Sacramento. Now, we want to warn you, some of the language you hear may be offensive.
We want to kind of have this conversation, as we discussed earlier, about what it's like here in Sacramento and race relations specifically.
Sacramento being like, you know, the melting pot. I wouldn't call it melting, like I always hear the phrase, you know, they say like the salad bowl. We all in the bowl, but ain't nothing melting, you know what I mean? That kind of thing. Because my earliest experiences with racism was here when I moved to California from, like, I didn't know a lot of this stuff, you know what I mean? Yeah, and I was like, oh, okay. The first time I started hearing, you know, nigger regularly was from white people in Sacramento. I'm like, okay.
Really?
Yeah. I didn't really get it like that in the East Coast. Like, where I'm from, it was predominantly, you know what I mean? And it was white people there too, but I didn't get it like that. Be careful, because everything wears a mask and everyone wears a mask. And I say Sacramento wears a mask well. Yeah.
Sacramento wears a mask.
Well, it does. It does.
And that's funny you say that, because when we were doing this conversation, our executive producer said we want to lift the blindfold. We've been living with a blindfold, and I think that this situation, for whatever reason, lifted the blindfold off of a lot of people's eyes and sparked conversations and uncomfortable conversations in the home. Quentin, I mean, you're raising a 3-year-old daughter right now. As a parent, what is your hope for her, and if you have any fears, I guess, for her moving forward?
She's a target. She's gonna be a target no matter what she does. I mean, I'm gonna teach her from her rights and wrongs. She knows that already.
Growing up, do you remember the conversation that you had with your mom or your dad about how to respond to police officers when they approach you? How old were you, and do you remember that conversation?
Like I said, my father always just say, avoid them, you know what I mean? And he got his reasons why he tell me avoid them. My very first, like, traumatic interaction with police, I was 10 years old, and the police actually put a gun to my head. Like, I was 10 years old, 10, with a gun to my head. You understand? I was no threat to nobody. As I get older and I see how ruthless they can be, again, I just tell children to avoid them. But I don't recall having the speech. I know my father talked about him. He always said, yo, just stay away from the police. You know what I mean? If you see them go that way, you go that way. You know what I mean? If they're here, you go there. You know, if they up, go all the way down. You know what I mean? But now I get it.
Do any of you know any people besides your father in law enforcement personally? Or know anybody who's going into or expressed interest in going into law enforcement?
Yeah, I have friends. Like I said, I have friends from schools turn into that, and I jam them up when I see them, but it's nothing like super personal. I'm like, you just better remember who you are, where you at.
Sure. I mean, and even young people. I mean, 25, you're starting to kind of get your career going. Anybody?
Unfortunately, just because of the way that they've handled us, it makes it hard for any of our peers to want to be one of them. So, I mean, you've grown up your whole life being abused and harassed and verbally abused by these people, and then now you're of age to join them and change your community, but you've screamed F the police your whole life. So now how does that look to all your peers and things? But not even how does it look to them. How would you feel having to go to work with the same very people who literally have oppressed you your whole life? So it's hard for any of my peers, I know for sure, to say, oh yeah, I'm gonna go be a cop or in law enforcement. I got bros who would rather be a security guard their whole life than to put on a real badge.
Well, hopefully being able to share your experiences and being so open with them will help some other people kind of understand that they're not alone in this healing process and can help move this conversation forward and not let it die on the vine. And it's only a matter of time until we are probably having this conversation again, but hopefully something can change between then and now.
Hopefully. Lina, we thank you. And you know, I have to say personally, I'm convinced that this is a generational challenge, especially with the Black Lives Matter movement. And since the founding of the Black Lives Matter movement, I, myself as a black man, don't recall my mother having a conversation with me, particularly about my interaction with police. But I guarantee you, if you ask some of these young people today in middle school or high school, that story would be different for them. This will be an ongoing discussion. We've dedicated a part of our website to Sacramento's voices, focusing on race, community, and policing. You can find the link on our homepage at abc10.com.